Hello, this is Kimberly Chalmers, host of the Be Well and Be You podcast. I'm a wellness consultant. I love talking about anything to do with wellness, health, well being, and truly living our most vibrant lives. And today I'm joined by my bestie, Karen Shumka. And Karen, why don't you just give a little introduction to who you are and why you're here at the table with me today?
Hello, beautiful friends and listeners. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. I've been looking forward to this. It's such an important conversation. I come from the world of energy. I am a body code practitioner. I was introduced to this whole world of moving and healing and shifting energy through a company called USANA Health Sciences, which you and I are inextricably linked to and passionate about cellular health and nutrition. So the conversation that we are going to launch right into the deep end is around mental health. And I know that you have already done a podcast recently on anxiety. Do you want to make sure people know how to listen and find that?
Yeah, you definitely just go to the podcast on how to deal with a panic attack. I've got lots and lots of podcasts that are all about our well-being. There's sort of this, if you don't even, if you may not even notice, there's kind of an underlying theme of mental wellness throughout this, and in large part because I myself have dealt with in the past and sometimes in the present, and things kind of ebb and flow with some things that I don't really like to label. I
Yeah.
I really am learning not to go to that place of, I have panic attacks or I have anxiety or I am this or I am that, because
I suffer from depression is one of the ones I hear all the time, right?
yeah, right. And it's like, okay, but it's not something that I want to embody
Yeah.
as the entirety of who I am.
Mhm.
And so today we wanted to talk about a little bit about that, a little bit about, the current state of affairs where a lot of people are facing with some mental health things that maybe they never would have in the past.
Mhm.
And then we also want to offer some really practical solutions, some things you can do today right at home, and some things that you can also order.
Let's
So
start
why
with
don't you start the
if you have vitamin D in your cupboard. Let's just dive into what you have in your cupboard currently. And if you are feeling a little blue or have had some diagnoses in that direction, take more. Dr. Wentz, the founder of USANA, puts it in absolutely everything he can. He sneaks it in here, he sneaks it in there. Legally in Canada, the Canadian government right now says you can only have 2,000 IUs a day, and our tablets are 1,000 IU. If you're listening from the US, your government's twice as far ahead as ours, which is alarming, but it's true. And what we want to say is we don't want to look to the government for our health. We want to look to our bodies and how our bodies feel. So if you're taking 2 of your little tabs and you're still feeling yucky and low, take 2 more. You'd have to take so many before you would even begin to reach toxicities. And vitamin D all by itself, if you had black skin and I have white skin, the government's going to say we need the same amount. We don't. You can't absorb vitamin D from the sun. And I'm a little marshmallow and I super can, right? So it has to be about how we feel. And I think you and I have spent so much of our journey together deep diving into how am I actually feeling?
Well, and often you will say to me when I present you with a story of something that's happened in my world, you'll say, and where do you feel that in your body? Right? It's one of the most powerful things that we can do. And really, is our goal, is that you, our listener, that you feel empowered, that whatever diagnosis, whatever thing that you are facing, you have the power. And so when we take it to the body, when we look at where do I feel that in my body, and I just want to acknowledge, oh, I feel that in my stomach. It feels like knotted and crampy and, kind of yucky, or I might feel nauseous or whatever it is. Just noticing that,
And
that
not
actually allows, go ahead.
Sorry, not just noticing, but did you notice that Kimberly said it feels naughty, it feels crampy? Many times we'll stay in our left brain and say, oh, it feels sad, or I feel angry, or I feel depressed, or I feel, and we give it a label, which isn't an actual feeling. It's a description of a feeling. So if you can take the time to say, it feels cold, it feels hot, it feels like I'm in a vice grip, it feels, some people feel colors, it might feel red or tight. And so why don't we give an example? yesterday, right? You had an experience and I said,
Mhm.
where do you feel it in your body? And what did you say?
And right away, I was like, "Oh, I feel that." I think it was my neck, right? It was like my neck. It's like it's hot. It's right, and just went into the description of it.
Yeah.
And it's a really powerful way for us to get in tune with our bodies right there in the moment, which we have so ignored. We've ignored all the messages.
And what we'll do is we'll run and grab some really bad pain meds, which we know are not good for us. And so we'll take
Right.
some pain meds and then our liver has to do this and it gets trapped in our blood and it's probably going to have a rebound headache and blah, 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 blah. Versus saying, okay, what is my body trying to tell me? Don't
Mm.
shut down the messages, friends. Pay attention to the message. There's a fabulous book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. This woman, she's a pioneer in this stuff, and everyone thought she was crazy, but man, could she heal things, empowering you to heal yourself.
The pioneers have always been crazy before they were found out to be true, right? It's always the way. But and this is the thing is when we have ignored our body for years and years and years, now all of a sudden things are going to start manifesting, right? The messages have been there, and now all of a sudden it's like one of my coaches said to me one day. She said, "Okay, so people think in terms of depression or anxiety or whatever, but if you think about it, it's almost like if you're trying to hold a beach ball underwater." So you've got
Mhm.
all these messages that have been coming up, and we're holding them underwater, holding them underwater, holding them underwater. And then all of a sudden, one day we let go of one hand. And what happens to that beach ball? The beach ball goes, and that's where all of a sudden we get this like flood of emotion. We get this flood of, a pain in our bodies or whatever that looks like. And it's because we've been ignoring it for so long. So now that it's time to wake up and pay attention. What do we do when we are in the midst of this?
Well, our favorite thing is to breathe, not just breathe. Focus on a breath. Take the breath into that point in the body, even if it's just in your mind's eye, imagining saying, hey, I got you. I got you. I'm paying attention. I'm not shutting you down. And you breathe into it and you breathe into it and you move it. One of my favorite ways to do that is with a pen. Take a pen, describe it, write it. There's so much magic that happens when we connect our soul to a pen and write things through. Instead of it going round and round and round, we can actually move it forward. And breath work, breath of fire. You breathe really, really, really quickly, long, slow breaths. Google, there's so many easy ways, but just paying attention is a biggie.
And I would say also being conscious so that we can slow our breath down.
Mm.
Oftentimes, when we're in a state of chaos or all of a sudden all the emotions, all the thoughts have flooded, our breath gets more rapid, and then our bodies get more tight and more tense, and everything starts to get more clamped. And so breath is the very fabric of life, and we want to think about expanding, right? We really want to, instead of going into that tight place of breath, we want to think about how can I, okay, so I feel this in my gut right now. Okay, I'm going to breathe right into my gut. That's the place where my body is asking for breath right now. And so you're just going to slow it down and just focus on breathing into and out of that area. And, I do this with my 3-year-old all the time because she's easy. My teenagers are not so easy. With my 3-year-old, anytime she gets into her little tizzy,
Mhm.
whatever it is that she's feeling in the moment, the first thing we go to is her breath. Okay, slow it down, take a nice deep breath in and a deep breath out. And it's like magic.
And make some sound. Ah, sound is so healing. I have a family member who has some pretty significant diagnoses and medications. And my favorite thing to say to her is get your ass in the grass. Get your ass into the grass. This is called grounding. I have a YouTube video on this. It is so important that you can think about a tree and feel a tree. But if you can physically put your bum on the grass and let all of gravity sink you into Mother Earth, there is a balancing there. There's an innate way that your body can just balance and find some center of, you know what I'm saying, some center again. It'll those emotions that we're having, those deep, dark, heavy emotions need grounding. We don't need them to go away. We need to ground them. And I really want to underline, you are not broken. If I'm having pain in my shoulder, it's not something I have to fix. I'm not less than before I had pain in my shoulder. We have been, you and I have grown up in a generation that says we need to be perfect, right? That anything going wrong with our bodies is wrong. It's not wrong. It's like, what's right with my shoulder being in pain right now? And for me to pay attention to it. So if we can somehow have a new paradigm that we're not broken, that's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there comes an acceptance of, okay, this is a message my body's giving me right now. If I numb it with drugs, I'm no longer receiving that message, right?
Resisting it.
We're
And
resisting it.
Consists. And really, truly, you're only going to feel something if you really feel it and accept it without resisting it and giving it a label and giving it a judgment. If you can feel it, you're only going to feel it for about 30 seconds and it's going to turn into something else. Really.
Well, and you were talking yesterday about melting.
Yeah.
Say some more about that. What is melting when we talk about energy and we talk about healing?
Well, if you think about an area in your body that you're trying to heal or is giving you a message right now, if you're listening, imagine when you watch coconut oil in a pan or chocolate in a beautiful little pot, melting. It's like you're absorbing it and loving it and feeling it rather than making it hard and pressing it and trying to get rid of it. So it's a beautiful picture for the mind to accept and mold it into your heart and love. And this probably is where we should finish because I know you and I both need to run. The idea of just in this now moment, thinking about something you love. So right away, I'm going to my daughter's cat. I mean, I don't even know how anybody gets any work done with a cat because they are just love bunnies. And this one, they'll just snuggle you all day long, these little tuxedo cat. And just think for you, what it is that just brings up those, the loving chemistry, because all our feelings is chemistry. It's chemistry. They're not even freaking real. Right? You can feel complete horror in a movie. It's not real. It's just a movie. So go into that cat thing for you and flood your chemistry with that feeling, that loving, yummy, juicy feeling. It might take 10 or 15 minutes seconds for you to actually even start to, or maybe even think of a loving moment, but that's a practice. So I can think about that. And all of a sudden I get this warmth going down my back. I can put it right into my shoulder if my shoulder's sore. We can tell our brains anything. So if you wake up and you're feeling heavy and you're feeling depressed, grab for some vitamin D, grab for some water for sure, get your ass in the grass, but grab a better thought. Grab an emotion that will send some chemistry through your body. And again, the fastest way to do that is with some good breaths. I think breaths yank open the door so that you can even have a chance at a better thought. Is that true for you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The breath, literally. Well, I think partly because you have to be mindful in order to slow your breath down, in order to shift your breath. And so just by coming back to our breath, we're now open to a new possibility, a new way of thinking. And I think the thing for us today that we really want to impress upon you is that you have so much more power, more authority, more dominion over your body, over your well-being, over your thinking than you probably even realize, than any of us realize. Like I mean, you and I are steeped 15 years in this way of thinking, and we're still just opening ourselves to all of this possibility, right? And so, like, this is exciting for us. This is really thrilling because instead of us receiving a diagnosis as a life sentence, or instead of us feeling something and thinking it has to be this way forever, it's understanding that in a moment things can shift, right? And think back to a time when you were feeling maybe sadness, maybe loss, and all of a sudden somebody said something funny and you
Yeah.
start laughing and crying at the same time, right? That just shows you how quickly everything in your whole being can shift and can change. So that's what we wanted to bring to you today. If you are looking for resources that you really want to flood your body with nourishment, you and I had another podcast recently where we talked about flooding our body with nourishment and coming alongside and supporting it. If you are looking for something that is herbal, mixing ancient wisdom with modern science, that there are some beautiful products that both you and I offer and many other USANA associates offer. One of the products is called oh my goodness,
Mind body and body
balance.
balance.
Mind and body balance in Canada.
In the US, they call it stress relief. And how I want to wrap up our conversation today, it is called Mind Body Balance, and it's an incredible product. And we want you to know you're not alone. We want to bring you into a community of conversations like this. We're always talking about how to link arms, and it's so important that you are not alone. You are not alone, and most often when there are those symptoms that we don't want to put labels on, often there's attention that needs to be spent with the gut, healing up your gut. Like that gut heart brain connection is so important. So we want to have lots of conversation around that and some practical resources. I think you're probably getting the idea that this isn't just like, hey, let's take a vitamin and we'll fix you. We want to bring you into an ongoing way of living your very best life.
Mm-hmm. Very best, most vibrant life. So we'll end it there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We love having these conversations, and I think we're going to have some more, Karen, as we as you and I continue to have these conversations. We're like, we really should just record this, right?
We haven't even scratched the surface of all the juicy stuff.
No, exactly. So we're just thrilled to be able to share what we know, and we're thrilled to hear from you. And if there's something that's really working well for you as far as your well-being and your personal health, we want to hear from you. We want to know what strategies and things are working for you, because this is about collaboration. This is about all of us coming together to share so that the masses can benefit. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for your time, Karen.
Take a deep breath, everyone. We love you.